Before we continue, a reflection on Saint Monica. One of my goals in this program is to introduce you to the great figures of our faith, our family members in the spiritual DNA of the Church. These are the men and women whose lives, writings, and prayers have shaped our understanding of God and His work throughout history. As you have seen from the last 2 days' readings, from time to time, I want us to pause to focus on an aspect of the life of one of these giants of the faith. Today, I want to introduce you to Saint Monica. No, that is not a typo. Hang with me, and you will see where I am going. Now, of course, you should be thinking, wait a second, what about Augustine? I thought it was his turn to have a focused reading. Well, we are, just in an indirect way. You see, Monica was St. Augustine's mother, and in many ways, everything we are reading from Augustine exists because of her. Monica's influence runs through his life and work, making her an integral part of a story that needs to be told, as well as part of your family. But I am getting ahead of myself. Saint Monica is revered in both Catholic and Eastern Orthodox traditions as a saint. I, as a Protestant, just love her and am grateful to God for her. Her significance goes far beyond any title we could crown her with. She was a Christian woman in a pagan household, married to a pagan husband and mother to an extremely wayward and worldly son. Her role in Augustine's life comes down to one thing: the perseverance of a mother's prayer. Monica saw herself as the spiritual anchor for her family, and her faith never wavered, even in the face of their obstinate indifference, or sprint away from God, as Augustine was doing. Think Jonah. A story of perseverance. There's a story about Monica that is incredibly moving. Deeply distressed over Augustine's sinful lifestyle, she sought counsel from a pastor, pouring out her heart and fears for her son. The pastor, after listening to her tears, said something that stayed with her: "The child of those tears shall never perish." That pastor was Bishop Ambrose of Milan. But enough about him, as we will read from him later. What you need to know is that these words gave Monica hope and renewed her faith, even as Augustine continued his marathon away from Christ, sampling every evil desire and pagan philosophy along the way. Monica's story resonates deeply with me because I see my own mother in her. Sorry, this will only take a second. You see, I, Michael Patton, was that wayward son. My mother, who died recently, was the only one in our family truly following the Lord. She was the lone voice of faith in a house filled with those chasing the world. Like Augustine when he journeyed to Rome, to his mother's dismay, I left home, moving to Phoenix, to live as I pleased, ignoring her prayers and everything she had continually taught me. A personal connection. While I was in Phoenix, my mother sent me a letter expressing her sorrow over the path I had chosen. We spoke over the phone, and I remember asking her, "Mother, why should I follow the Lord? Why should I live like you, when you seem so unhappy, and I'm having the time of my life?" Her answer was simple yet profound. She said, "Michael, life is not about being happy. It's about doing what's right." Her words floored me. I had no response. I just gave her a mocking laugh. But deep inside, I knew she was right, and that simple truth, birthed out of her love and persistence, set me on a journey back to the Lord. Even now, as I write this, I do so with tears of love and thankfulness for my mom. The legacy of a mother's prayer. Now, enough about me. Just as God worked through my mother, He worked through Monica for Augustine. The power of a mother's prayers, her tears, and her faith cannot be overstated. This reflection on Monica reminds us of the profound role mothers play in shaping the spiritual heritage of their children. Monica prayed relentlessly for Augustine, and though her prayers weren't answered overnight, they were answered. Augustine became one of the greatest theologians the Church has ever known, a testimony to the faith of a praying mother. As you read through today's reading of Augustine, imagine how Monica feels about these words. Augustine. Confessions, Book 1, Sections 30 to 33. Section 30, God's Eternal Truth. O Lord, your truth is eternal, surpassing the heavens and reaching beyond the stars. Your wisdom is unsearchable, yet you have made yourself known to the humble. Teach me to walk in your truth and to seek you above all else. For the light of your truth dispels the darkness of ignorance and reveals the path of life. In you alone is perfect wisdom and everlasting peace. Section 31, The Mystery of God's Providence. O Lord, how wonderful are your ways! Though I do not fully comprehend your providence, I know that all things work together for good to those who love you. Even my mistakes and sufferings have been used by you to draw me closer to yourself. You are the great Redeemer who turns sorrow into joy and brings beauty out of ashes. Teach me to trust your purposes, even when they are hidden from my understanding. Section 32, The Weight of Sin. O Lord, my God, I am burdened by the weight of my sins, which are many. Yet your grace is greater than my guilt. You have not dealt with me according to my sins, nor repaid me according to my iniquities. Instead, you have shown me mercy, calling me to repentance and giving me hope through your Son. I confess my transgressions before you, and I rejoice in the forgiveness that is mine through Christ. Section 33, The Joy of God's Forgiveness. Blessed are those whose transgressions are forgiven, whose sins are covered. O Lord, my God, I give you thanks for the joy of your forgiveness, which brings healing to my soul. You have lifted the burden of guilt from my shoulders and replaced it with the peace that surpasses understanding. Teach me to live in the freedom of your grace, walking in obedience and sharing the good news of your salvation with others. Section 34, The Search for True Joy. O Lord, where can I find true joy if not in you? All the delights of the world are fleeting and cannot satisfy the longing of my soul. I sought pleasure in created things, but they only left me emptier, drawing me further away from you. You are the fountain of life, and only in your presence is there fullness of joy. Teach me to turn my heart to you and to delight in your goodness, for you alone are my everlasting treasure. Section 35, Gratitude for God's Patience. O Lord, I marvel at your patience with me. Even as I wandered far from you, indulging in sin and rejecting your truth, you did not abandon me. Your mercy pursued me, calling me back to yourself. What a patient and loving Father you are, bearing with my rebellion and waiting for my return. I give you thanks for not giving up on me, for welcoming me back with open arms when I finally turned toward you. May my life be an offering of gratitude for your endless mercy. Suggested questions for reflection. 1. Perseverance in prayer and faith legacy. How does Monica's example of perseverance in prayer and faithfulness inspire you to approach the challenges or people in your life that need prayerful attention? Who has played a similar role in shaping your faith, and how might you continue their legacy? 2. Reflections on Augustine. What insights or thoughts struck you from today's reading of Augustine? How do his reflections challenge or encourage your understanding of God's truth and mercy?